Hey everyone, welcome to part 6 of this trophy and achievement guide for Metaphor ReFantazio. We've got another great episode for you. We're going to do a lot of stuff and cover multiple dungeons, so I can't wait to get into it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a like and also subscribe for more like it. Let's get into it. We're starting in the afternoon of August 1st, and the first thing that we're going to do is hop on over to the Gauntlet Runner so that we can go into the pantry and get our daily supply of cooking ingredients. This is a habit that we formed in the last episode, and we're going to keep doing it because of how helpful it is. After that, let's pull up the follower menu with the left directional button, and we'll scroll down until we get to Bardon, and we're going to choose to go and have a conversation with him, and we want to spend some time with him. This brings us to rank 6 with Bardon, giving us 2 abilities. The first is Commander Veneration, significantly reduces the mag cost of studying the commander lineage, and Rapid Swapper, which halves the turn icon cost of switching with a reserve member during squad battle. We then get a new quest with him called the Right to Rule, and we will automatically do this the next time we choose to spend time with him. However, we're not going to do that very soon, because if you do that, you have to fight an enemy that is level 60, and that's way beyond our capability right now. It's now going to be nighttime of August 1st, and what we're going to do is to go ahead and leave this tavern, and we're going to head outside. Just to our left is the watchtower. We're going to spend the night up in the watchtower looking out over the city, and when we do that, then we do get a boost to our wisdom royal virtue value. This will get us 4 points toward wisdom, and that will be enough to bring us to rank 3 of wisdom. It's now the afternoon of August 2nd, and what we want to do is to go over to the Gauntlet Runner to get our cooking supplies. Once again, let's pull up our follower menu, and we'll see that Strohl wants to talk to us, so choose to go have a conversation with him and spend some time with him. At this point, we hit rank 7 with Strohl, and we get access to yet another new archetype. This one is called the Samurai. It is a further advanced form of the Blade Master, and it's also known as an elite archetype. It's quite powerful, and we will be using it in the future. Now we move on to the nighttime of August 2nd. We'll get a notification that Alonzo wants to spend some time with us, so let's go ahead and choose to spend our evening speaking with him. Before we can actually spend time with him, we'll talk to him, and we will have to have a rank 3 in wisdom. Luckily we have that, so we can choose the option, sure, I can do that, and then we're allowed to spend some time with him. And once we do that, then after some cutscenes, we're going to hit rank 2 with him, and that will give us the ability called Faker Enlightenment, which reduces the cost of studying the Faker lineage. It's now August 3rd in the afternoon, and what we want to do is, of course, go back to the Gauntlet Runner to get our cooking supplies from the pantry. Now it's time to do some traveling, so let's turn left, go into the strategy room, interact with the round table, and we're going to choose the route map. We want to go northeast of where we currently are, because we want to find the place called Imp's Den. It's actually in the Grand Trad area, so you have to look in the more desert area versus the more forested area on the map. We're going to choose to travel over there. It does take 1 day to get there, but that's good because that gives us some more time to do some things on the Gauntlet Runner while we travel. First up, we get a notification that Hulkenburg wants to speak with us. We'll be doing that in a minute, but first we have to do some cooking. So let's turn around, run over to the kitchen, which is just past the pantry on the right side, and we're going to interact with the cooking table. And because we have the speed cooking ability, it won't cost any time to cook this Coney stew. And now we're going to spend time with Hulkenburg, so pull up that follower menu, choose to have a conversation with Hulkenburg, and then when you go outside onto the main deck, you can just talk to her and choose to spend some time with her. And when you do that, then you hit a new rank with her. This is rank 6. We now get 3 skill inheritance slots for the Knight lineage, and we also get the Battle Hypnosis ability, so Hulkenburg gains experience at the normal rate even while she's not in our party. We're then forced into a fight against some random enemies. I just have a moth from earlier in the game. Neuras will begin the fight by using the Bombardier ability to hurt the enemy, and now we just have to use a normal attack to take this guy out. They tend to be replaced with another enemy after that. We get a red Elementa. These guys are of course weak to ice spells, so use a Blizz or something to take him out really quickly, and then we're going to be moving on. After that, we arrive in the Imp's Den. We want to take a moment to make sure that our party is set up the way we want it to be. Let's go into the archetype tree and select the protagonist. We'll go over to the left side and equip the merchant archetype on him, and we want to make sure that the investor's abacus is equipped. From here, we're going to inherit some skills. We want to have a good variety of magical elements, so we're going to choose Bot, Blizz, as well as Cyclo. However, most of the damage that we're going to be doing comes from the gold attack ability, which thanks to the investor's abacus will do more damage at the cost of more money. Strohl is currently channeling the Swordmaster archetype, but we want to change that over to the Commander archetype, which is just over to the right of Swordmaster. This is going to cost us 2,250 mag, but it's definitely worth it because we need to get this guy ranked up to Master as soon as possible. Now let's inherit some skills for this one. For skill 1, I'm going to choose Raging Edge, and that will provide me with a good source of slash damage against all enemies. For skill 2, I'm going to choose Batra for medium fire damage. And finally, on the third slot, we're going to choose Blizz just for an ice damage option. Then moving on to Hulkenburg, she is totally fine just the way that she's set up, so we don't need to adjust her stuff. Instead, we're going to go over to Heismay now, and we are going to have him inherit some skills for the assassin. We want to teach him the bot and the blizz spells as well. He already has access to dark skills, but these additions will just give him a little bit better elemental damage coverage. Once you're done with all the setup, let's go forward past Morris Phantom, and we're going to actually enter the Imp's Den.
Let's go.
I took the liberty of scouting out this area, so I'll pull up the map and show you what we got going on here. There are 8 quest markers, and each one represents an enemy. If you can defeat 6 of those 8, then it will spawn in the bounty that we have to defeat. I'll show you my preferred route to go through this area to collect everything as efficiently as possible. So starting off from the entrance, go north, defeating the enemies and grabbing the item. Run northwest past Morris Cat and defeat the next enemy. Go through the path all the way to the north, killing the enemies and grabbing the item. Head southwest to kill the enemy. Go northwest to kill the enemy and also get the gold beetle, which is flashing on screen. Follow the path south to kill the enemy and get the item. Go southwest to get the item, then east to kill the enemy and spawn the bounty. Take the southern path all the way toward the east to get the item, and then you can circle back around to exit. Now let's put that into practice. We'll run forward along the path, we'll find an enemy in a black robe, we'll take that out, and that's one of 6 enemies we have to defeat to spawn the bounty. Let's keep going north, we will defeat these wasp enemies and then grab the item.
Right there.
From here, let's keep going toward the west, past Morris Cat, and then turn and go north to defeat another black-robed enemy.
Charging in. Time for some close ones. Forward.
Let's keep going north, defeating all the enemies that we encounter, and at the very northernmost part, there's going to be a dead end with an item in it, and we'll make sure to get that.
Charging in. Let's push through. There they are.
Now let's turn around and head to the southwest to defeat another black-robed enemy and his annoying minions.
I think they see us. Right there. close combat. Forward!
Let's keep going toward the northwest and defeat another black-robed enemy and the wasps around him.
There they are. Alright, how's that?
Now turn toward the south because there's a gold beetle in this area as well. We're going to keep heading west at this point. There is a red elementa that you can defeat, and after you defeat him, then keep heading south along the path until you get to another area with a black-robed monster we defeat.
Let's push through. Forward!
And grab the item in this area as well. Go southwest until you can grab the item in the corner.
Charging in.
And now head east from here to defeat the last black-robed monster.
Come on!
Once that enemy is defeated, it will automatically bring in the bounty monster for us to fight. This is the Go-Born King, and he has no weaknesses, but he himself is just pretty weak. Even though he's surrounded by lots of his friends, we're going to take them out really quickly. We'll pass Heismay's turn over to Strohl, and we'll use the Archetype ability Raging Edge to deal heavy physical slash damage to all enemies, and that's enough to take out some of them, and the other ones are very weak. Let's have our protagonist use Gold Attack. It will use 1000 reeve instead of MP to attack, and there is a trophy for spending 100,000 reeve in gold-based attacks. So we're technically 1% done with that trophy. We'll be using Gold Attack a lot in the coming battles just to make sure that we get that trophy nice and early, and then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Well, one more follow-up attack with Hulkenburg was enough to end that fight. I'll spend my stat allocation point on strength just to make it tied up with endurance and agility, and then we're going to have a look at the different archetype skills we've learned recently. We got Trader Summit with the Merchant, and on our commander we got Fiery Strike, dealing medium fire damage to one enemy and maybe inflicting burn, and we also got Rebellion, which increases our critical hit rate for one enemy for 3 turns. We learned Assassinate with our Assassin, dealing heavy physical dark damage to one enemy and possibly one-hit killing them. We get the Imp's Loincloth for beating him, and now we want to choose to explore a little bit more just because there is one more item that we have to pick up in this area before we exit. And to do that, we just have to run a little bit toward the south, and we're going to circle around toward the east to grab the item all the way in the dead end on the eastern side. So run down, run over toward the east, and then pop back up toward the north, defeating the enemies along the way, and then you want to go over toward the east just a little bit more to get the blue shining item on the ground.
Charging in.
Amazing! Great moves back there.
And after that, we just have to circle back around. We'll go over toward the north and then east, and finally head back toward the south, and then that will take us to the exit.
I see the end.
So now let's exit out the south and we will return to the dungeon entrance area. From here, we just run toward the camera until we can exit. We'll choose to go back to town. That will conclude all the activities we can do for today and also the night, because we'll spend that resting and recovering. And now it's the afternoon of August 4th. We get a little notification that Strohl wants to speak to us, so we're not going to be doing that. However, right now, we've got some other stuff to do. So starting off, we're going to head over to the Gauntlet Runner, because of course, we've got to get our daily supply of cooking ingredients from the pantry. Because we completed a bounty the day before, we should turn it in to get our reward. So pull up the map and then scroll way down until you get close to the bottom and you'll find the recruitment center. Let's choose to go there. And now we'll talk to the recruiter dispatcher and he's going to give us our reward. We also complete the quest known as the New King of the Imps, and we get 24,000 reeve as our reward, as well as 4 more points toward the Courage Royal Virtue. And now we're going to fast travel over to the area called Warship Harbor Charadrius so that we can complete the next story-based dungeon. This one's pretty quick. It's essentially just a boss rush. Let's proceed along the path all the way up until we get to the new area, then go around until we can actually enter the Charadrius.
What do you think?
Gallica wants to confirm that we're going to spend our day doing this, and of course we will. Once inside, let's go straight ahead until we get to the elevators, and then we're going to turn toward the right to go down the hallway and interact with the door to go into the next area. We're on the upper platform, so let's use the nearby ladder to go to the ground floor, and then we want to head over toward the east where we'll see another ladder next to this guard, and we're going to go up and grab the item on the back side of these boxes. Now we're going to head back down that ladder, and we want to go over to the northeast corner. There's going to be a cutscene here, and after that all we have to do is to go around and to speak to all the different guards that we can speak to on this ground floor. So there's one right here. We'll have a talk with him, and then after that we're going to go over toward the right, talk to this guard who's sitting down. We'll go over toward the back section. There's going to be guards standing up. Now turn around and talk to this guard sitting at the table. After all that, there's going to be another cutscene, and then we'll be able to go into another area. In this spot, we get an overview of this whole area. We need to sneak our way over to the back part. If the guards see us, it will cause us to have to go into a battle, and we don't want that because we'd only have 3 turns to defeat these guards. If they do catch you, use your gold attack. It should definitely be strong enough to kill these enemies, and because it's an almighty type attack, nothing resists it. Start by going underneath this box, sneak up behind the guard, and then stun him. After that, we're going to go up the nearby ladder, and there's going to be an item on our left. So grab that, and now we're going to go down the other ladder at the north side. We'll walk over and take out this guard as he's patrolling around, and then we're going to head a little bit further south. You can grab the item on the table here, and then you want to take out this guard. After that, we're going to get a quest called Obtain Sergeant Xant's Key, but the quests inside of this dungeon do not count for the quests that we have to complete in order to get the trophy and achievement for completing all quests in the game. When you're ready, let's say let's go. We're going to go into the next area, and we'll be forced to go immediately into a boss fight. If you read the information from the informant, you would know that this guy's weakness is status ailments like poison and burn, but we don't have to do any of that. Even though we only get a time limit of 3 turns, we can still defeat him long before then. Let's go ahead and start the fight with Heismay using Assassinate. After that, we're going to have Strohl use Raging Edge.
I'll cut you down.
Our protagonist can use Gold Attack. Because I got a critical hit with the Gold Attack, I am able to use a Synthesis ability with Hulkenburg. I'm going to use Hammer of Justice, dealing heavy damage to him and also giving him a one-time weakness to piercing attacks. If you didn't get that critical hit, then just use another attack from Hulkenburg. You should definitely be able to eliminate this enemy within 2 turns, and if not, then definitely within the full 3 turns that you're given for this fight. The enemy's almost dead after that first turn, and I want to pass the turns over to the protagonist just to get in one more usage of this gold attack and make a little bit more progress toward the trophy for using 100,000 reeve in battle. You may notice that we're getting items like the Strength White Mask. That is important for another trophy later on. We like to see those masks pop up, and by having the Merchant archetype equipped, you're able to have Lucky Find, which increases the probability that you're going to get items after battle. Also, after the fight, you get a key that you can use to enter the next area. So let's run forward a little bit and then turn toward the right. We'll go up the stairs and interact with the door to go into the next area. Now in this next area, you're going to have a choice between going to the right or the starboard side or the left or port side. Let's go up the stairs ahead of us and then we'll turn toward the left. There's going to be a Magla Hollow next to Hulkenburg here. It's called Soldier's Lounge. So run inside and save the game if you want to, like I'm going to do. And then after that, we're going to go back out. Here's where we have to make a choice of which path to go on. If we go toward the right by Heismay, that's the starboard path, and if we go left by Hulkenburg, that is the port path. Either way you go, you have to complete a quest to get one of those keys to progress in the dungeon. Luckily, these quests do not count toward the trophy for completing all of the quests in the game. You either have to do one or the other, not both. So don't feel like you need to do one side, then backtrack and do the other side. Only completing one path is fine. I'm going to go over toward the right, that's Heismay's side, and I'm going to do the starboard path. So run over here, up the stairs, and then go in the door. You'll have an overview of the entire room. There's lots of guards and items around here, and what we need to do is to sneak past them, knock them out, and Heismay will be able to help us at one point, but we've got to do a little bit of this on our own. Let's quickly run down the stairs and go down the ladder in front of us. We'll go around the corner and knock out this guard as he walks toward the north. Make sure you go quickly there, otherwise he'll turn around and spot you. Now from here, we're going to go up the path and then over toward the left. We'll circle around toward the south and knock out the next guard. From here, we're going to keep going south, and then we want to climb up this nearby ladder. From here, we'll go up a little bit to the intersection, go right, and then up to grab the item. Now head back down and knock out the guard.
Okay then.
From here, let's go over to the right and then go up to grab the item. Now we'll go down and use the ladder. Be careful because there is a guard around here. If you use face sight with the L2 or left trigger button, it will give you an expanded view of the area, allowing you to see the guards a little bit more easily. I have to wait for the guard in the lower left corner to walk closer to me, and then I'll see he turns around. I can run over and knock him out. After that, we'll go over toward the left a little bit more, circling around these boxes and grabbing the item. Let's go left and under the bridge. If you get too close to the top, then Gallica will warn you that you're getting too close to being spotted by the guards, and we're going to go down toward the bottom. So run down a little bit, go right and under the bridge, and there's going to be another ladder here that we can climb up. Now let's go up along the path as far as we can until we can grab an item. And then go left until you get to the end of this path. Now go south and talk to Heismay. He's going to start distracting the guards down there and getting them to move, and that will give us opportunities to attack them from behind.
Let's do it.
So starting off, we'll go down and go down the ladder. Now run up and knock out this guard. From here, we're going to go down, and then we're going to go down even further, and be careful because there is a guard patrolling down here. Wait till he turns around and then stun him.
All right.
You get a scene from Heismay here, but this was not the last enemy in this area. We are going to take out one more of them. Let's go left and then up. We'll see that there's a guard patrolling on the left side of the screen, so be careful about that. Wait till he gets to the end of his patrol route and then turns around. Now sneak up behind him and take him down. That's going to be all of the enemies in this. Gallica will now get all of our party members back together, and we'll have a cutscene outside of the boss's door. And now we get a quest. Remember that this is only the quest for going on the starboard side. If we went to the port side, it would be a different quest, and either one of those is just fine for progressing. This next enemy has magic that repels physical attacks and hurts us, so we need to find a way to nullify that. When given the option, we'll choose to wait, and that means that we can access the menu and make a quick change. Because we've studied the Seeker and Magic Seeker, to a good degree. We have learned the skill called Tetra Break. So let's go into the merchant and we're going to assign the skill for Tetra Break. We can remove bot, find Tetra Break down the list, and we'll see that it negates one enemy's repel physical skill. Now all we have to do is wait for the enemy to cast that spell and we can just take it away with Tetra Break. And then the enemy is going to be weak to all forms of physical damage, whether it be slash or strike or pierce. All of those will do lots of damage to him. Well, when you're ready, go ahead and interact with the door, go inside, get a cutscene, and now you'll be into a boss fight. Once again, we only get 3 turns to defeat this enemy, so we have to do it quickly. He begins the fight by casting Mage Wall, creating a barrier that reflects our physical attacks. Lucky for us, Heismay's Assassinate, even though it's physical, it's actually of the dark element, and that means that we can hit him without it reflecting back and damaging us. I'm going to skip the turn here with Strohl, and now with the protagonist, we're going to go ahead and use Tetra Break, and that will get rid of his barrier, and now he's going to be weak to all of those physical attacks. And now with Hulkenburg, we're going to use Hammer of Justice to deal a lot of damage to him. Heismay is up again, and we're going to use another Assassinate against him. Now it's Strohl's turn, and we're going to use Raging Edge. Not only will it do heavy damage to him, but it also hits his weakness. The enemy will waste his turn putting up another Mage Wall, and we do have another option for removing that. With the Merchant archetype on the protagonist, we can use the synthesis skill called All Reset to remove that barrier and any positive status effects that he has on him. So after All Reset is done, then we can attack him with Hulkenburg to finish the fight. We can just use another attack like Heavy Rush to defeat him. And there you go, with just a little bit of strategy, this fight is incredibly easy, and in fact it was another one of those unscathed triumphs for us. Our protagonist hit level 29. I'm going to give another point into magic, raising its total up to 23. We'll get another key to progress further into the dungeon, and then we will complete the associated quest. After that, we're moving on into the next area, and there's going to be a little bit more dialogue, and then we'll take control of our protagonist again. We just want to run straight up the stairs and go into the door at the end of the hallway. This next room is what connects the port side path to the starboard side path, so regardless of which path you take, you end up right here. And now we're going to continue going toward the west, going through this door, and then running all the way to the far west side of this room, through this hallway, and go into the door at the end of the hallway. After some more dialogue, you're going to be in a room that's basically a hub connecting to many other rooms. If you go over to the side where Hulkenburg is, there's the Soldier's Lounge. That's just a save room if you want it. And then you go across the hall. Right next to Heismay is where we just came from, but if you go a little bit further toward the right, there's going to be this hallway leading down, and we actually want to go out the doors onto the front deck. There are no enemies out here, just 2 items that we want to grab. So let's head over toward the left, and there's going to be one of these blue items over here. We can grab the White Moon Mask, and now we'll go a little bit further over toward the west, and there's going to be another blue item for the Superior Enigmatic Accessory. After that, let's head back toward the right, and we'll go into the door that we came out of a moment ago. Let's run straight ahead until we see Strohl, and we want to go down the stairs that he's next to, and that will take us into a door with another hallway. We're just going to go all the way down to the end of the hallway and go into the room at the end. In this next room, we're going to go down the stairs and over toward the right side. We'll try to peek through the door, and after a short cutscene, then what we want to do is head back the way that we came, but keep looking over toward your left side as you go, because there's going to be another ladder over here that we can climb up. So climb up the ladder and then go along the path until you get to the crawl space at the end. Interact with it. There'll be a series of little cutscenes and some dialogue options, but the game will lead you through all of that, and then once we're all done with that, we will be into another boss fight. Unlike the previous boss battles, this time we have 2 opponents, but we have the same 3-turn limit to win this fight in. Luckily, we can use the same attacks for both opponents, even though they have different weaknesses. The guy on the left with the more circular helmet, he is going to be weak to physical attacks like slashing damage or piercing or a strike. Meanwhile, the guy with the sword is going to be strong against those physical attacks. But what we want to do is to use Assassinate with Heismay, Raging Edge with Strohl. We're going to use Gold Attack with our protagonist, and Hulkenburg can use one of her abilities such as Heavy Rush. We want to take down the Mage Salva first. He's the guy with the round helmet, so focus all attacks onto him round 1 until he's defeated. After that, you want to focus your attention onto Cabio and do the same protocol of hitting him with Assassinate, Raging Edge, Gold Attack, and then you can use either Heavy Rush, a magic skill, or a synthesis ability if you have it available with Hulkenburg, and this guy will go down really quickly. So it's a very easy fight, even though we have 2 opponents. 3 turns is 1 more turn than what we actually need to defeat these guys. Well, that's all I have to say about this fight. I'll let it play out and I'll see you at the end.
This won't do. Join with me. It's up to you now. I'll run you through.
My Count Louis.
Not bad, if I say so myself. I admit, it feels good. I have never known.
Even I had more to learn.
And after the fight, we get the Officer's Magla key, which is what we need to get to the destination at the top part of the Charadrius. Let's proceed along the path in front of us down this hallway, and when we get to the end, then we will turn around and go back up the stairs and go into the room at the top. There's a lot of story stuff that happens up there. I'm not going to spoil any of that, so I'm just going to skip over it, but once we go in this door, then after the scenes play out, we'll get the quest completed called Infiltrate the Charadrius, and then there'll be some more scenes, and we will then rank up with Gallica, getting to rank 4. We get another skill inheritance slot unlocked for the Mage lineage, and we also get Faceit Acuity, so that Faceit now yields more detail while inside of a dungeon. It's now the afternoon of August 5th, which means it's Idols Day, and that also means that we can head over to the Gauntlet Runner, and we can interact with the toilet to get a permanent +1 to our luck stat. So let's start off by doing that first. And then afterwards, we're going to go across the hall and interact with the pantry so that we can get our daily supply of free cooking ingredients. Now what we're going to do is turn left, go into the strategy room, interact with that round table, and we're going to choose the route map option. We want to go a little bit toward the north of where we are, and then a little bit toward the west, so that we can head on over to the Tomb of Lament. This is a new dungeon that we want to go to, and it has a bounty waiting for us. Because it takes 2 days to get there, we'll have some more time on the Gauntlet Runner to do additional activities. So let's choose to go there, and then we get to choose our path. We can either take the left path or the right path. We want to go on the left path because that takes us through Inundo, and that's going to allow us to purchase something in order to complete another quest. So with that left path chosen, we're going to take off toward the Tomb of Lament. We do get a notice that Heismay wants to spend time with us, and we will be doing that in a minute, but first we're going to go over into the kitchen area to interact with that cooking table. We want to see if there are any recipes that we haven't cooked yet. Because we have the speed cooking ability, we can cook without wasting any time with that. If you've cooked the recipe before, it will have a large symbol next to the name, and if you haven't cooked it yet, it will have a little square. Ideally, anything that is bright white in color, you will have cooked already. If not, feel free to cook it now. Some items we just don't have the ingredients for yet, but we will be getting them soon. Once you've made sure that you cooked everything, then go ahead and spend some time with Heismay, and we're going to be able to rank up with him. We're now rank 5 with Heismay, and we get 2 abilities, Thief Veneration, reducing the mag cost of studying the Thief lineage, and Battle Aura, so that when Heismay is in reserve, he still earns lots of experience. We then get put into a fight against some random enemies. You can see I got a couple blue elementas here. Luckily, Neuras begins the fight with the Bombardier ability, damaging all the enemies, so that gives us a good head start. And now we just have to finish them off with other skills, because their blue elementas will use the fire spell bot to take them down very quickly. And then there should be some more enemies reinforcing them. In my case, we're going to get some of those wasp enemies that we fought before. They're very easy. Take them out in whatever way you want to. I'm going to use a Raging Edge to eliminate all of them when it's Strohl's turn, so that'll be very quick and easy. Don't worry about spending your MP, you get it all refunded to you after the fight, so you can use whatever skills you want to without worrying about wasting your resources. As we travel, we'll get the option to stop in the nearby town of Inundo, and we definitely want to do that, so when Gallica asks you, choose Let's Stop. And then after some initial dialogue, you'll get the standard shop options of buy, sell, and listen. Let's start by using the sell option to sell off any of the treasures that we're currently holding. I've got about 13,000 reeve worth, so we'll sell that and then go to the buy command. The only thing we really need is on the right tab so that we can get the Toothbrush of Hygienia. This is something that we need for a quest. It's only 400 reeve, so you should definitely be able to afford that. Purchase anything else you want to. It's mostly all junk. If you need some mellow milk, go ahead and grab that. Otherwise, we're going to back out and choose to continue our trip. And then we'll just confirm that with Gallica to keep on going. It's now the nighttime of August 5th, and we want to begin our time in the wetlands camp by going forward and interacting with the campfire to get our 1 cooking ingredient insect. And then after that, we're going to go back down inside the Gauntlet Runner so that we can interact with the bookshelf and do a little bit of reading to pass the time. So once you go down the ladder, go over past the kitchen area, and then you're going to go to this bookshelf in the back corner. The book that we want to read is the New World Travel Diary. By reading this book, we will get a boost to the royal virtue of imagination, but we've got to answer a question right in order to get the biggest bonus. And the correct answer is going to be option 2, the pavilion. So choose that option, and then you will get the maximum reward, which is 4 points for imagination. Once again, we're forced to fight some random enemies. I got a Chimenza, which is much tougher than the last group of enemies that we had to fight, and they are weak to wind, but the only wind attack I have is on my protagonist. Unfortunately, he's also the merchant archetype, and I want to keep using the gold attack so that I can keep making progress toward the trophy of using 100,000 reeve in battle. So I'm just going to use gold attack instead of Cyclo, and within a couple turns I will be able to eliminate him and not have to worry about it. But then he will be reinforced, and I'll just have to take out the reinforcements as well. In my case, I got a green Elementa. These guys are of the wind element, and they are weak to lightning-based attacks, so use something like Conde to do more damage to them, or really just use whatever you want to, because you should be definitely strong enough to take these guys out before they run away. I got an absolute ton of experience from that fight, and that was enough to get me up to level 30 with the protagonist and get some more archetype ranks as well. The game gave me 1 point into agility already, so I'll put 1 into endurance just to keep it tied. We got the fire dodge ability for the merchant, which is a passive ability that increases our evasion against fire attacks, and our commander learned formation of vigor. We move all allies to the front row and increase their attack by 2 stages for the next 3 rounds. It's now the afternoon of August 6th, and of course we're going to turn around, go over to the pantry, and get our cooking supplies for the day. After that, it's time to do a little more reading, so let's turn toward the right, go past the kitchen and into the study. We'll use this bookshelf to read the New World Travel Diary one more time. This will actually cause us to complete the book, and we're going to get the maximum number of points by answering the question correctly. So let's choose the first option, Sounds Pretty. That's going to give us 4 more points toward our Royal Virtue of Imagination, and because we actually finished the book, we get an additional 4 points for imagination. There is a trophy or achievement for completing all of the books, so we made a little bit more progress toward that. We then find ourselves inside Peregrine Falls. There's a little bit of dialogue here that I'm going to skip. We'll automatically get 4 points toward our Wisdom Royal Virtue, and then we're going to get another drawing made by Neuras. We then find ourselves inside the Tomb of Lament. The enemies here aren't very difficult, it's just kind of a weird place to navigate. So let's go ahead, go through the door in front of us, choose to spend our time in here, and then I'll show you what the layout looks like because I did scout ahead as much as possible to give you a good layout of the place when we go in. We start off in the southernmost part of this map, and we want to just go north a little bit and then turn left to go west and work our way around to the stairs in the bottom left corner. There's only a few different types of enemies in this area. One of them is going to be what looks like the monsters that are hiding inside of those treasure chests when they're trapped. So these guys luckily go down pretty easily. We can just use normal attacks to begin with. Now we can use Mage Light to hit their weakness and follow that up with a gold attack from the protagonist, making a little bit more progress toward that trophy, as well as eliminating the enemies and doing lots of damage. Again, gold attack uses the Almighty element, which means that nothing resists it. You can always do good damage with that kind of attack. After the fight, we're going to go back into the hallway behind us and then turn toward the right so that we can follow the path around. A lot of the doors around here are locked, and we'll have to use a lot of crawl spaces to navigate. The first crawl space is in the wall to our left, so crawl through there and then grab the item on the other side. Then turn around and crawl back through that crawl space. Watch out because there is a large Minotaur looking enemy in this area. They're pretty strong, so always try to attack them from the back to get the advantage going into squad-based combat. They've got 2 weaknesses, ice and piercing attacks, so we can use Blizz to do lots of damage and hit their weakness. Most of your damage is going to come from the protagonist using gold attack, and then you can usually finish them off or get them pretty close to death by having Hulkenburg use a pierce attack from her archetype. All in all, it's a very easy fight. You should be able to get some pretty easy unscathed triumphs fighting them this way. Just be careful because if they see you in the open world, they will try to attack you pretty aggressively. They've got a nasty charge attack, and if they hit you, it'll probably put you on the defensive, and then you're going to be ambushed and have to deal with a pretty strong first round attack from the enemy.
Not bad, if I say so. Nice. I feel stronger already.
The other type of enemy that you need to look out for in this area are going to be these skeletons. They're a little bit aggressive, charging at you and slicing. Luckily, they don't do a lot of damage to you. After defeating all of these guys, we're going to head over toward the west and then turn north. We're going to run past the guy and then down the stairs into the next area. The first thing that we want to do in this area is to get a new relic for Neuras. If you look at the map, we start in the southern part. We want to go to the right through a couple crawl spaces over to where the quest marker is. So immediately turn right, go through the crawl space, run forward and then left around the corner. Go through another crawl space to get to the treasure chest where the relic for Neuras is waiting.
We found something. Not bad.
That gives us the gypsum cube. Now let's go back through all of those crawl spaces to get back to the main hallway. Let's turn right and start heading north. If you look at the map, we want to get the item all the way at the most northern point of this area. In the first room on our left is going to be a treasure chest monster, so we can eliminate him, and now we're going to go eliminate the Minotaur enemy just to our north.
I see the enemy.
Following that, we'll go up and then over toward the right. We've cleared out the left side of this lower rectangle, and the right side doesn't have a lot for us except for some monsters, so we'll turn left and go toward the north. All of the rooms on the right and left sides are locked right now, but they become unlocked as soon as we grab this item. So now all the doors are unlocked, the enemies come rushing out, and we can just go forward and eliminate all of them.
I see the enemy.
When the enemies are defeated, we'll go into the southwest room in this hallway and we'll grab the item. Let's go back to the hallway and then go north one room. We'll go into the room on our left, and that will actually have a crawl space that will take us into a hallway further toward the west. And now we'll head south all the way down to the bottom, where there's going to be another crawl space that we can go through. And there's going to be a treasure chest on our right side. So let's open that up, and inside we're going to get a new weapon. This is the Spider Lily Katana, and it is definitely an upgrade for Heismay. So let's go into our equipment menu. We'll go down to Heismay and choose the strongest option to equip him with the Spider Lily Katana and the Matador shoes. Obviously the best piece of equipment in the game based on its name. And now we're going to go back through those crawl spaces and back out to the main hallway. We'll turn left, go north one more room, and take out the enemy here. Now we're going to go outside and go across the hall to the northern room on the right. There's going to be a crawl space here. We can go through it and then go around the corner to our right. There's going to be another item on the ground. So pick that up and now go back through that crawl space into the main hallway. We get to skip the room in the middle on the east side of this hallway, so skip that one and go into the southern room on the east side. And now we can go through this crawl space, which will take us to a hallway. We're going to go to the end of it and grab the item. And once again, turn around to go back through the crawl space to the main hallway. At this point, we're going to go south just a little bit, and then we're going to go toward the east and then go up these stairs. In the next area, I'll pull up the map. We are in the northwest corner. We want to head southwest, clearing the rooms as we go down, and then go through a crawl space to grab the item. After that, we'll go toward the east and interact with the exclamation mark right in the middle of the map. So from the starting point, we'll run forward to the right, and then we'll work our way room by room as we head along this right side path. There's going to be one treasure chest monster, a couple of the skeletons over here. We'll clear out the one in the hallway and in the room, and now we'll go down one more room and we'll go in here, and then there's a crawl space on our left that we'll go through, and there's going to be an item just in front of us. So grab that item and now go back through the crawl space. From here, we want to head east. We'll go past where that Minotaur is, and we want to get into the room in the middle with the exclamation mark on the map. We'll take out the Minotaur on the way just for some extra experience, and then we're going to go into that room and turn toward the right. There's going to be a switch on the wall that we need to interact with. The switch opens up a shortcut all the way back to the entrance of the dungeon, but it also allows us to go deeper into it. If you look at the map, we can now go further toward the south than what we could before. So let's go on and go toward the southwest corner, and we're going to go toward the entrance, but then turn toward our right. When you see that blue dot in the distance, turn toward the right and you can go through this crawl space that will take you into another hallway going to that blue dot. We just want to run along the path and go all the way to the end, but be careful because there are some rooms to the right and they do have enemies in them. As soon as we grab this item, those doors are going to open and we'll get ambushed by the enemies. So just be careful and take them out as you go along.
That worked out.
Right there.
Once those guys are gone, we're going to retrace our steps and go back over to that other hallway. We'll go through the crawl space here, and then we're going to turn over to the right. There is a Minotaur that spawned in here. I'm just going to go kill him for a little bit more experience, and then we'll go back the way that we came, all the way to the main hallway that leads to the entrance to the dungeon. But instead of going that way, we'll turn left, and then we'll turn immediately to our right, and then that will take us further toward the east. We're going to go through this crawl space that will take us to another item, and now we're going to go back through the crawl space to that eastern hallway. Turn toward the right and keep going forward. There's going to be 3 skeletons in this area. Take them all out, and then we're going to keep on going toward the east. Grab the item, and then keep going until you can transition down into another area at the bottom of the stairs. This room is basically just a large circle with an offshoot to the northeast and one to the southwest. We're going to go counterclockwise or anti-clockwise around this room, and we're going to get all of the items and kill the monsters along the way. So from the entrance, go forward and then turn toward the left. We're going to now take the rightmost branch, and we're going to be careful of this Minotaur. You can bait their rush attack a little bit, and then you can take them out after that. We're then going to keep going north and go through the crawl space to get to another hallway. Turn left and work your way toward the northwest, where you can get to 2 treasure chests.
We found
We're
something.
so lucky.
Before you go back, go further toward the west down this hallway and grab the item.
Let's stash that.
Now we're going to retrace our steps and go back through the crawl space to get back to the main loop. And once we're here, we're going to go over toward the west, and then we're going to keep going north, taking out the enemies along the way. To our north is going to be a wall that has a crawl space in it, so let's go through there, and there's actually a gold beetle waiting for us on the other side, so make sure you grab this one.
Great find.
Let's head back through the crawl space to the main loop, and we're going to go over toward the northwest. There's going to be a large group of enemies, mostly skeletons, but also 1 Minotaur that are patrolling through here, so be careful and take them all out. As we've been killing the Minotaurs, we've been getting an item called Giant's Rib. That is a cooking ingredient that we need. And we also now got our commander up to rank 13, giving us Flame Vanguard, dealing medium fire damage to all enemies and possibly inflicting burn. Let's keep going west and then turn toward the south. There's going to be another Minotaur along the way and some more skeletons that are hiding out in the hallway. So be careful as you take all of these guys down and then keep going south. At this point, Heismay's Assassin reached rank 10, giving us the Shadow Dweller's passive ability, which increases evasion by 5%, and that boost is increased if there are more people with the Thief lineage also in the party. Let's take out these skeletons down the hallway that are hiding behind the pillars, and then we're going to keep heading down toward the south.
You hit him right in the weak spot. Good job.
Look to your left because there is going to be a crawl space in the left wall, and we can go ahead and grab the item in this little room.
You found something.
We'll go back to the main loop, and we're going to head toward the south and then turn toward the east to follow the path along. There's once again another Minotaur along the way. Just be patient, wait for him to turn around, and then attack him from the back to get the advantage.
Don't get too relaxed.
Once he's eliminated, we want to take out the other skeletons in the hallway, and then we're going to turn toward the south so that we can go down the hallway, and then turn toward the west to go down to the end of this branching path and grab the item at the end. That's really all that we have to do here. Now we just have to run all the way back to the northern end. So you can either go up the western or the eastern path. It doesn't really matter. Just get all the way back to the northern part, right by the crawl space where we went and got the gold beetle up here. From here, we're just going to go a little bit further toward the northwest and then turn right to go north. We'll take out this Minotaur along the way, and then what we want to do is to head over toward the northwest so that we can go down the nearby stairs, and that will take us into another area of this dungeon. The next room is very simple, just run forward and to the left to go to the opposite corner of this large square room that you're in. There's another switch on the wall that we want to activate, and that's once again going to open up another shortcut all the way back to the entrance. Let's leave this room going south and then turn toward the east, which is on our left. We want to run straight ahead into the wall ahead of us. Once we get here, turn toward the left and go between the wall and these pillars. As you go north, you'll get a notice from Gallica that the boss is waiting up ahead. We want to grab this item and then turn right so that we can go through a crawl space into the wall to the other side to get to the hallway. We'll turn right going through this treasure monster, and then we'll go all the way down to the end of the hallway. At this point, I did get another level with the protagonist up to level 31. I'm going to put my extra point into the magic stat. Alright, let's keep going down to the end and grab the gold beetle. So there's 2 gold beetles and 1 Neuras relic inside the Tomb of Lament. And now we can go fight the boss. So go back through that crawl space. Moore's cat is going to be on our right, so use that if you want to. The next boss isn't so hard, but there is a particular way that you want to go about the fight to make it easy. So when you're ready, go ahead, open up the doors, and you'll be in a fight against the Fatalich. Heismay should probably be going first in the fight, and that's good because you want to begin the battle by trying to steal from him, because he does have an item that we can get. It's a new weapon for the mage archetype, and it's going to be called the Fulmine Rod. So go ahead and try to get that. If it doesn't work, just go back and retry from the beginning of battle. With Strohl, we're going to use the synthesis ability called Assault Beacon to raise everyone's attack, defense, hit, and evasion by 1 stage. We're not going to attack with the protagonist, instead we'll pass the turn over to Hulkenburg. She will use her ability called Meta Line, and because all of our party members are in the front row together, we're all going to get healed from that, bringing us all up to full health. We don't attack on the first round because the Fatalich will always use Soul Cry to give himself 2 turn icons, use one of them to summon in a Kaimenza, and then the Kaimenza will heal the Fatalich, so we would just be wasting attacks. So instead we use our first turn to buff ourselves and get ready for the real fight. When Heismay gets a turn to attack, I want to use Assassinate on the Kaimenza. When it's Strohl's turn, I'm going to have him use Mage Light on the Fatalich. The protagonist is going to use Gold Attack on the Fatalich. And Hulkenburg is going to use her Mage Light also on the Fatalich. Going back to Heismay, we'll try to assassinate the Kaimenza. Use another one of those Mage Lights on the Fatalich. And then you can Gold Attack either one of them. I'm just going to use it against the Fatalich to keep bringing his health down. The Fatalich will either try to use Hyper or attack your party members with a Darkness type attack, or try to inflict Hex on them, and the Kaimenza will attack. He tried to use Skullcracker and inflict Forget, which would be kind of problematic for me, but luckily we didn't get affected by that and only took a little bit of damage. Now we just go back to the same method of using Mage Lights on the Fatalich, Assassinate on the Kaimenza, and then Gold Attack on whoever you want to. Ultimately, this fight should only take a couple rounds. It's very easy to do. Just keep dividing up the attacks and hitting weaknesses, and you shouldn't have much of a problem with this fight at all.
I shall rise to the occasion.
I continue to grow.
As a reward for that fight, we get the Chalice of Legends, which we need for our quest. We've done everything we wanted to do here, so let's choose to go back to the entrance. Our next choice is incredibly important, and we don't want to make a mistake. Go forward like you're going to leave, but then when Gallica asks what you want to do, choose to set up camp, which is option 2. This means we will not be returning to town and we can actually do something at nighttime, but also we will stay closer to our next destination because what we want to do is to travel to a new location tomorrow. Usually when you set up camp, you can either return to the same dungeon or go someplace new. We're going to go someplace new. So choose option 2, set up camp, and then say option 2 again, I want to go somewhere else. And then that will conclude the day and we'll go into the nighttime portion. So now it's going to be August 6th at nighttime, and we can actually do stuff on the Gauntlet Runner. Even though we explored a dungeon, we're not so tired that we can't do anything. We'll interact with that campfire to get our cooking insect. And then we want to go back inside the Gauntlet Runner so that we can go down and find Neuras. We're going to give him his relic that we just got inside the Tomb of Lament, and then that will allow us to get another rank with him. So go down into the engine room and we're going to turn left and go find him. We'll talk to him, and then that will initiate a long conversation with him. We can give him the option to spend time with him, say sure, and then that will cause us to spend our evening talking to him. We will complete the quest called Relic Search Dregs of Destiny, and then that will also get us a new rank with Neuras. This is rank 3. We now have access to another archetype called the Sniper. That is an upgraded version of the Gunner archetype found in the upper left corner of the archetype tree. We then get a new quest called Relic Search Youth's Folly, and we've got to get another relic from a dungeon in order to give it to him to complete that one. Beginning the next day, we have to choose another location to go to. We want to go a little bit further toward the north so that we can go to the Forsaken Tower. We get another option of which path we want to take. We want to take the path that goes through the Gauntlet Runners on the way there. That route takes us through 2 rival Gauntlet Runners as well as the Stillwood camp. So let's go ahead and go that direction and we'll be all set. It's now August 7th in the afternoon. Let's turn around, go into the pantry, and get our daily supply of cooking ingredients. Now let's go into the kitchen, and because we collected some of those giant's ribs from those minotaur enemies, we can cook a new dish called Steadfast Stew. So let's go ahead and make that one, and we won't have to spend any time doing it thanks to our speed cooking ability from Maria. Now let's do a new activity. We want to head down the ladder and go downstairs into the engine room corridor. From here, we're going to go toward Moore's Phantom, and we want to go to the back left corner where you see this vacuum looking thing. It's called an upright cleaning tool. We're going to make a save here because we want to try to get a specific outcome that's random when we go ahead and use that cleaning tool. So once you make your save, go ahead and interact with the upright cleaning tool. You will get the choice of spending some time to do this activity. We're going to say let's clean, and we want to clean the storage room. When we do this, there is a chance that we're going to get an item called a Tailbait. We have one of them already, but we want 2 more like this. So if you get that, great. If you get something like a fragrant spice, just reload the save that we just made, and then we're going to try it again. After that, we're going to get into a rival fight against Roger the Libertarian. We beat him in a debate a while ago, and he's not super happy about that. He wants to take us down, and he's accompanied by 2 friends. Luckily, we can hit him with some heavy artillery to start the fight, and we'll have an early advantage. With Heismay, we're going to use Assassinate, and we're going to target the mage on the right side of the screen. With Strohl, we're going to use Raging Edge to hit all enemies for some pretty good damage.
Hack and slash.
The protagonist will use Gold Attack to finish off that mage. And now Hulkenburg is going to use the Bot spell against the other person accompanying Roger because he's weak to fire. And finally, Heismay will also use Bot to hit the weakness of the Roger supporter. The enemy then gets to attack. They're not going to do a whole lot of damage to us. It's pretty weak and we'll be alright. Heismay did get paralyzed, which is kind of a bummer because we can't use him to fight until he recovers from that, but that's okay. We'll have Strohl use Flame Vanguard to hit the weakness on the Roger supporter and do lots of damage to both targets.
Keep it up, Strohl.
Let's use Gold Attack on the Roger supporter to take him out of the fight.
Observe the
And now with Hulkenburg, I'm going to have her use a synthesis ability, Hammer of Justice, and that's going to allow her to hit Roger and also give him now a weakness to piercing type damage for one attack. Heismay's still paralyzed, so I'll pass the turn from him over to Strohl, and then he's going to use Flame Vanguard on Roger again.
Is that all? So you too would strip out. Perhaps an igniter will sacrifice. In the name of freedom!
Alright, time to finish this fight. With the protagonist, we'll use another gold attack that's going to get him pretty low on health, and then because we gave him a weakness to piercing damage, we're going to have Hulkenburg use Heavy Rush to finish the fight. And there you go, that was pretty easy. We eliminated Roger the Libertarian, another one of our rivals. We'll get our rewards, and then we'll continue on inside the Gauntlet Runner.
I didn't know I had it.
It's now the nighttime of August 7th, and it's raining outside, which means we can't go out on the deck and interact with the campfire to get our cooking ingredient insect. Instead, we're just going to go over to the study and do a little bit of reading from the bookshelf. We're going to choose to read the book called The Future of Magic, and when we do that, we're going to be asked a question. If we answer that question correctly, then we'll get more points toward the royal virtue that this book is about. In this case, it's going to be wisdom. So choose to read the book, we'll spend our time doing that, and our answer this time is going to be option 2, it won't work for everyone. Once you answer that, you're going to get 4 points toward the wisdom virtue. It's now August 8th in the afternoon. Let's turn around and go to the pantry to get our cooking supplies. After that, let's turn to the right and go down to the study so that we can interact with the bookshelf. This time we're going to read The Future of Magic again, and we're going to get 4 more points toward that wisdom royal virtue. But in order to do that, we have to answer the question correctly. This time we're going to choose option 2, immediately is too rash. And for giving the correct answer, we get 4 points toward wisdom. After that, we're forced into a fight against another rival, and this time it's going to be Catherina, which is good because when we defeat her, we get another rank toward her follower level. If you'll recall from the earlier fights, Catherina is weak to the fire element, so use all things fire on her, like the bot spell. You can use Fiery Strike from Strohl. We do want to use our gold attack from the protagonist just to keep working on that trophy, and then we can use bot again from Hulkenburg. If you go through it and only hit her weakness, you should be able to kill her before she's able to even get the first turn in.
I step with blade in hand. Oh, mystic fire!
Hulkenburg got them right in their weak spot.
Assassin! Blaze! Commander!
You are.
Burn to ash!
Why?
So there you go, another very easy Catherina fight. We're going to get our rewards following that, and then we're going to be able to rank up with her.
Not bad, if I say so myself.
I feel stronger.
I hit level 32 with the protagonist. I got 1 point to magic already, and I'm going to put the other point in there as well, raising that total to 26.
Good.
I have never known such a...
Our bond with Catherina is now at rank 4, giving us the ability to inherit yet another skill when we have the Brawler archetype equipped. And then we find ourselves at our destination, the Forsaken Tower. This dungeon is pretty straightforward, but we want to change up some of our skills to make it even easier. We're going to focus on 2 elements, light attacks, which we can get from the healer lineage, as well as dark attacks that we get from the thief lineage. We'll start by teaching Strohl how to use the thief archetype. This is going to cost us 1,125 mag. We do not have to channel the archetype, however, we just have to learn it so that we can learn skills from that archetype. And we'll do the same thing with Hulkenburg. We'll teach her how to be a thief as well, and we will not channel that archetype. And now we're going to go over toward Heismay. He already can be a thief, but we're going to teach him how to be a healer instead so that he has access to the Hama light spell. Let's not channel that healer archetype. We just want to go down to the assassin and choose skill inheritance so that we can inherit that Hama spell that we just learned. So go ahead and put that on. It'll cost a little bit of mag to learn that thing, and we want to make sure that we have Hama. And then I'm going to put on Modun. We don't need it that much because we already have skills like assassinate, but it is good to have a slightly lower MP cost dark attack. Now go into the item menu and choose Hero's Leaf of Light. We're going to choose the protagonist and then the thief so that we can get him up to rank 4 and learn the Mudo spell so that we can have a darkness based attack. We're then going to choose Strohl and we're going to do the same thing. Give it to the thief so that he can learn how to use Mudo. And finally we'll do it to Hulkenburg as well so that she can learn the Mudo spell. Strohl and Hulkenburg have the accessory equipped which gives them access to the Mage Light spell, so we don't have to teach them how to be a healer because we already have access to a light attack. Now with the protagonist, we're going to inherit some skills onto his merchant archetype. We want to find the Hama spell from that healer archetype, and we're also going to find Mudo and put those 2 things on, and I'll just leave Cyclo on instead. Really, we're not going to use those so much. We're just going to focus on continuing to use gold attack instead for the majority of our damage. We're then going to go over to Strohl and we're going to go down to his archetype, the commander, and we're going to replace Batra with the Mudo spell. And like I said before, he already has Mage Light, so we don't need to teach him Hama instead. And then I'm going to replace Blizz with Conde so that I have access to a lightning spell. And next up, we'll go over to Hulkenburg to change up her skills a little bit. We'll go down to the lower left corner to select the Magic Knight. She has a free skill slot, so I'm going to put Mudo in that spot, and then I'm going to replace Blizz with the Conde spell again, so that I have another person who can use lightning-based attacks. As long as everyone has access to a darkness-based attack and a light-based attack, you should be just fine getting through this area. So let's go forward and go into the door. We'll choose to spend our time inside the Forsaken Tower as we explore this dungeon. Alright, first things first, we'll turn left and go up the stairs. Once you're up here, there's going to be some of these goblin guys. The larger ones are going to be a little bit harder to kill, so you'll have to go into squad-based combat. The other ones, however, go down very quickly. These guys aren't weak to anything really, so just go ahead and hit them with whatever you want to. I'm going to use a Raging Edge. It's a little bit more MP than what you really should be spending against these guys, but we're going to skip a lot of fights on the way up and save our MP for the final boss of this area. So after those guys are defeated, we want to pay attention to the other enemies nearby. They look like an octopus coming out of a pot. They will basically blow themselves up when you get too close. They'll put out a purple circle around themselves. Just get out of that once it activates and you'll be fine. They'll be dead and you'll be just fine. So now we're going to move over toward the north side of the room and collect the item here, and then we can make sure all the enemies blow up before taking out the other goblin-like enemies. And then once that's done, we're going to go over and we're going to see that there is a treasure chest here, but this is a trapped treasure chest, so be careful. As soon as you open it up, you're going to be in a fight. These guys are weak to light-based attacks, so you can see why we had to make sure everyone had Hama or Mage Light. We're able to take these guys out a lot easier that way. So make sure that you're using Mage Light on them, and you can also use Gold Attack. Gold Attack has a secondary purpose, and that is if the enemy still lives, then he'll be distracted by the gold around him, and then he won't be able to use both of his attacks on that turn. So it's just a little bit of safety, but if you're powerful enough, you should be able to kill him before he has a chance to attack.
Now, no holding back. The power of light. Let's go.
I think I'm getting used to this. Not bad. All right.
After that, we get our treasure and we can head up the nearby stairs to the next floor. Once we get up here, there's going to be a treasure chest to our left. This is also going to be a trapped treasure chest, so be careful. Use the same strategy as before, hitting it with light attacks and gold attack. You'll be just fine. Continue through this area, eliminating the enemies. Be careful because amidst all of those pots are going to be a lot of enemies that blow themselves up, and you can grab the treasure chest over against the large pillar in the center. That's going to be safe for you. Keep going around, collecting the items, and also pay attention to the green Elementa over here. He's going to be weak to lightning. That's why we have those Conde spells on. So you can kill them in a variety of ways, but we're just going to try to hit their weakness and take them out. Assassinate also does a lot of damage to them, and you should be able to finish them off with just one more attack after that.
Power of lightning.
Smooth finish. Great work, everyone.
To ever greater heights. Don't let your guard.
Let's keep going around this area looking at the mini-map so that we can get all of the items and treasure chests here. Again, there's a lot of enemies that will blow themselves up, so just be careful, walk slowly around here, and if you see that purple circle show up, then just run out of it and you should be just fine.
Looks like it's not safe yet. Stay
Once we've collected everything out of the middle section, we can go down to the far south side because there's going to be another treasure chest down here, which is safe. And inside of this one is an item called the Sage's Semaphore. It is a new weapon for the Commander archetype, which Strohl has. So go into your menu to the equipment, choose Strohl, and we're going to equip that new weapon on him. And now what we need to do is to head over to the stairs that are going up, and that is going to be found over in the northwest corner of this area. If you want to take out the remaining goblins and then go over and open up this treasure chest, which is also going to be a trapped one, so use that same strategy of hitting them with all of those light-based attacks, and you'll be good to go. Let's run up the stairs to the next level, and when we get here, we're going to see that there's a door on our left that we need to open up. And once we do that, we want to look toward the left side because there's an item against the wall, between the wall and the trance crystal. So grab that. We're going to ignore all the enemies in this area and the trance crystal, go to the north side of the room to open up the door, and then go toward your left side to climb the stairs. Up on this floor is a new enemy called Orgo. They're these big giants, and they are weak to the darkness element. So you can see how all the preparation that we made on the ground floor has really come to pay off. We've been able to hit everything's weakness and take them out very quickly. We'll just have people use their darkness-based attacks, and that will hit his weakness. It's really nice when you already hit the weakness once and have half of a turn icon. That way, the next time you use gold attack, you're able to use only a half of a turn icon instead of the full one. But if you do get a critical hit, which is pretty likely when you're playing with the merchant archetype, then those critical hits will also cause you to only use up half of a turn icon, just like if you hit their weakness. So keep going through here, killing him off using your darkness-based attacks, and you do get quite a bit of experience for doing that. So they are a good way to keep leveling up and to get your archetypes to level up too. So after that, we're going to continue on toward the north end of this circle, and there's going to be a gold beetle here at the far north end. So grab that before proceeding on, and then we're going to run forward and go to the left to climb up the nearby stairs. Once again, there's a door that we need to open up, but the enemies in here don't have anything for us. We can just run right past them over toward the south end of the room where we can open up the door.
Get ready, everyone.
Again, once you go through the door, turn toward the left and run up the stairs. There's going to be a trance crystal in the middle of this area. Just run past it. There are no items or anything, and you just want to get to the other side, then turn left and continue up the stairs. This floor has the boss on it, so you can save with Morris Cat if you want to. Otherwise, just go ahead and go through the door, and you'll be put into a fight against Orgos. Just like those other giants, this guy's weak to darkness as well. So with Heismay, I'm going to use Assassinate. The protagonist is going to use Gold Attack. Strohl is going to use Mudo. And Hulkenburg will also use Mudo. We'll hit him with another Assassinate from Heismay. And then another Gold Attack. And now we have another Mudo from Strohl. But instead of attacking with Hulkenburg, I'm going to use Knight's Proclamation to try to draw his attention. Because Strohl is weak to strike attacks and he would take additional damage, I want to try to draw his attacks, which are of the strike nature, over toward Hulkenburg instead of hitting Strohl. Didn't work out so well because he can't hit everyone, but because there was the miss, then it's my turn again. I'm going to use another Assassinate with Heismay, a Gold Attack with the protagonist. With Strohl, I'm going to have him use the Synthesis skill Assault Beacon.
This should help.
That helped. I'm obliged.
Much thanks.
Observe.
And Hulkenburg will once again use that Knight's Proclamation. I did move her to the back line just so that she takes less damage, but it doesn't really matter. He goes to attack Hulkenburg and he misses, so it's my turn again. I'm kind of just playing with my food at this point because I could easily kill him, but I want to use another Synthesis skill that I've never used before. So we'll pass all of our turns over to Hulkenburg and we'll have her use Marakukaja. This will increase all allies' defense for 3 turns. Again, we have to use 50 different Synthesis skills throughout the course of the playthrough for a trophy, so whenever you get new ones, make sure that you're trying to use them at some point. And now let's finish the fight with Heismay using one more Assassinate to hit his weakness and kill him. Even though it wasn't an unscathed triumph, it still went very smoothly, and I'm really happy with how that fight turns out. Okay, now we got to a new level with our protagonist. We're level 33, and I'm going to put our extra point into strength to tie it up with agility and endurance. We then got to master rank with the merchant and learned debt collection so that we can steal mag from an enemy for the cost of 100 MP. Not really worth it, but we did get a permanent +3 to our luck stat. Strohl's commander also got to the master rank and learned Heartbreak Stratagem. For 10 MP, we can negate one enemy's repel magic and repel physical skills. We then get the item called Ebony Horn for defeating the Orgos, and then we're given the option to go back to the entrance, but we don't want to do that. We're going to continue exploring.
Say,
So?
Now let's keep going straight ahead over toward the southwest corner of this room. We can open up the door, and then we're going to turn toward the left and go up one more flight of stairs. This is the top floor, and there's one item up here, so let's go ahead and grab that, and then we're going to turn around and head back down the stairs until we get to our first trance crystal. Alright, there it is. Before we engage with it, we're going to go into our menu and we're going to make a little alteration to our setup. Let's leave everything the same with the protagonist, but with Strohl, we're going to switch him from the commander archetype to the general. Moore gave us a task of getting the general up to rank 15, so we want to work on that, but we also want to get the general to the max level with Strohl because that's useful for something later on. So let's go ahead, learn how to become that, and then channel it. We're going to set up our skills here. I'm going to give him Raging Edge again. He will then learn Batra, as well as the Blizz spells. We're going to farm the enemies from this trance crystal for a little while. A lot of them are weak, but what we want to do is to just initiate squad-based combat when there's these large enemies around. We're going to pass the turn over to the protagonist and use gold attack. If it's a critical hit, they die in one hit. If it's not a critical hit, just use someone else to actually kill them. And we're just going to only use gold attack to defeat all the enemies. If there's lots of them, then you might get auto reinforcements. Go ahead and use that same pattern of passing turns over to the protagonist and hitting them with gold attacks. Our goal is to use this gold attack a total of 100 times because we're using 1000 reeve every time we attack, and we'll get our trophy when we get up to 100,000 reeve being used. This took me about 15 minutes or so to grind this out until we get to the point where we got enough of those gold attacks to get our trophy. And I did get some archetype levels in there as well, which is good. Let's keep using that same strategy of passing turns to the protagonist and only using gold attack. And once you get to your 100th usage and used up 100,000 reeve in battle, then you're going to get a new trophy. Here's the last time that I used that attack, and I do get the Money is Power trophy or achievement at this time.
You first.
Is everyone all right? Huh.
Now let's finish off all of these monsters and then head on out of here. There's really two ways to get to the bottom of the dungeon. You can either use the Ariadne's Thread item to instantly teleport yourself back. That's kind of the smart way to do it. Or you could do it the long and old-fashioned way of just running down all of the stairs. And that's what I'm going to do because I wasn't too smart. I would, however, recommend leaving all the trance crystals in place and not destroying them because we do have to come back here at a later time, and those trance crystals may just come in handy at that point. Well, we're speeding up the footage, running all the way back down to the bottom of the tower. We're just going to ignore all the enemies, not fight any of them, but you are welcome to if you want to. And once we get down to the bottom of the dungeon, we're going to use the door to exit, and we'll be back out into the entrance area of the dungeon. Now we just run forward all the way past our teammates and go through the door at the backside. And when we do that, then Gallica will want to talk to us. We're going to choose to return to town, which is option 1. We'll confirm that we want to leave, and then that will end our day and our night as we go back to town. And as we head back to town, we'll find ourselves on the afternoon of August 9th. And this is where I'm going to end part 6. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that like button and also comment down below. I really enjoy seeing all of your comments. And also don't forget to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the rest of this series. I'll see you soon in part 7 where we have a lot more to do and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So see you soon for part 7. Until then, thanks for watching and have a good day.